Hey there, just wanted to go through adding a new event. So we'll do that right now. So under the left-hand side, under THA events, you just simply hit add new. I'm going to use the information that Amy sent over here. So all of this stuff is pretty straightforward. So the title goes up here. Um, she provided a link, which a lot of these will be at Kajabi, which is perfectly fine. View details is the default in here, but you can change that if you want. The date banner just tends to be the month and year. So this one is 2023. And then this part is, this part's important. So on the event start date, I just put a note here that says this is used for ordering only. So we basically just want to pick January of next year, and this is starting on the 21st. And then in here you can put the actual date. So if it goes for more than one day, like this one does, you can just, all that's in here now is placeholder text, so as soon as you start typing, that goes away. So if you put this in here and add the 2023, and then the last piece is a featured image, and that's what is the image that goes above it. And so Amy sent the starting place image. I can just drag it from, you know, the email or whatever. I can just drag it over here into the media library. And then the bottom right, just click set featured image, which it turns blue. These images are really small, and I'm going to talk about that in 1 second, but you can see this one is 1200 by 600 or 660. They don't have to be that big. That also, I know it's really small. Let me make that bigger. It's also, you know, it's almost 700K, which again, we don't need. These can be really small images, and I'll cover that here in a second. So basically, you just click the button that says set featured image, and now you have all your information. You have the title, the link, the button link, which is the event link text, and then the banner that goes across the top, and then the start date. And again, this is only used for ordering. So for example, if we had, you know, 2 events on the 21st as an example, but you wanted to show them in a specific order, you could just make one the 20th and one the 21st, because this date doesn't show up anywhere. It's just being used for ordering. So that gives you guys the power to sort these things however you want. And then the actual event date, this could be, you know, June 25th, doesn't matter. This date up here with a date picker is actually used for, it is used for the sorting. So, and I want to show you one other thing. Well, I'll just show you the test page now so we can see that. And you'll see this third event show up. So there we go. Now we have December 21st, and I just made these up so we could sort them. December 30th and January 21st. Again, this is the text that we wrote in. This is not the actual sorting. And I want to show you that if we look at the December 21st event, which I think is this one. No. Oh yeah, December 21st. What I've done is if the date was yesterday, which today happens to be the 8th, so if the date of this event was December 7th, which these were actually October, but I'm just doing this for an example. So if this was an October event, and I'm just going to use December 7th as an example, and I hit update, remember this is the December 21st is what it shows on the front of the site. We'll let this refresh. So it's this event here, the virtual retreat. Once that's saved and I hit refresh, you'll see that this event will go away. So what I've done in the code is said, as long as the event happens today or after, so December 8th or after, then show the event. And this will help you guys not have to go back through and you know, deactivate or delete events. You don't have to touch them. As long as that, as long as the date picker date, the actual event start date is accurate, then they'll just come off the front of the site. So again, on these pictures, and actually let me put this one back. So I'll make this fit. Well, it doesn't matter, because this is actually a good example. And I'm going to move this over here. This is the live events page now. And so if you've looked at this image before, this image here, which we can look at really quickly. There it is. Just want to show you, this has, where I'm going with this is this has more content. So that's the background overlay. Oh, there's the image there. So give me a second here. So if I grab this image URL and show it on a new page, all I wanted to highlight here is that this has, you know, virtual retreat and then this purple swath down here, Dr. Amy. And so I'm going to refresh the new page. It's the same as the old page, but what I want to highlight here is that this image, you can just barely see the Dr. Amy purple swath down there, and you can see that the virtual retreat is cut off. I've made our banners a little bit wider, but you can see that the word, you know, retreat, virtual is cut off, and the purple thing is cut off. And then with this new image, this actually, where is that? Well, it's right here. We'll just look at this guy. Here it is. So it has the icon at the top, and then it says virtual retreat, and then it has the dates, but you can see that it's been cut off. So I think it's a conversation we have to have, just so that we have a consistent image size. This container currently, and we can make it taller. The width is, you know, tolerable, but right now this thing is 185 pixels wide and 458 pixels. I'm sorry, 185 pixels tall and 458, or let's just call it 460 pixels wide. We do want it to be a bit. Well, no, it doesn't matter. That's the height of that banner area. So my first comment to you would be, let's try and keep those images to 185 pixels tall, and you can make them 500 pixels wide if you want. You're not going to have content probably just pinned to the side, so it'll work just fine. If you want that section to be taller, we can adjust that, and then you can adjust your image heights. And so I'm just saying all that just to say that if you make an image like this one in the top left, you're not going to get all the content. You know, we're missing this purple swath down here, and like on this one, we're missing the date, and the logo is cut off, and that's just because, you know, the zooming we don't really care about. That's just kind of a pretty little effect. But if the consumer is looking at this and you have text in here like you do on these two, where you really do want it to be seen, then let's agree to a image height, and then that will that'll make these images look a lot better. So if 185 works for you, that's a completely arbitrary number. So it can be, you know, as tall as we want. I can just make it, you know, whatever. I can make it 300 pixels tall if we want. It doesn't really matter. I do want to show one other thing here, though, is now you can see that we've gone to 350 pixels tall, and this image is now repeating, as is this one. You can now see the date up here at the top. I keep hovering it so it zooms, but you can see the logo at the bottom down here, and you can see the date up at the top. So what we want to do is agree on a height so that the content that you put in those pictures is seen by this image. So again, if we wanted to make it 345 pixels tall or whatever, it doesn't matter. You just have to make your picture 345 pixels tall. In this case, it's still 458 wide, and that's kind of important when we get to mobile, because now it's really tiny and it's only 315 pixels wide. I guess I'm not really concerned about the width, because on mobile, we've given them the date here. They have a button and they can always see the title. Like, all that stuff will work just fine. It's just images, and just so you know, like, images are always a challenge in websites when you're going to mobile and whatever else. And then at its widest point, where is this thing? It's Yeah, it's 460. And I think when we were full width, it wasn't very far off from that 460 and 537. Yeah, so I think if you want to have a quick phone call, I'm happy to chat about this. The other option we do have is that we can provide each event with 2 images. So if we decide we want to go taller, but on a small screen, and I kind of use 400 pixels as my breakpoint on really small screens. If we want, we can make these things 360 wide by, I'm sorry, 360 wide, and then maintain that same height. So if we decide to stick with a 185 and they're 360, we can add 2 images. So I can swap out those images, one for mobile and one for tablet and desktop. So, all right, I will stop blabbing. Give me a shout with any questions.